The world of organized crime in Mexico instills fear in every corner of the country due to the constant battles for control of drug trafficking-related businesses. Although the most common image depicts heavily armed men with symbols of the cartels they represent, the ranks of these groups are not exclusive to them. On the contrary, more and more women are assuming important roles within these organizations. Among the tasks they perform, none are as extreme as those of the female hitmen, who are as ruthless and brutal as any drug lord. In this new video, we will review the history of some of the most feared female hitmen who chose a path filled with adrenaline and blood in the criminal realm, and who ultimately paid with their own lives. We'll start with the narco TikToker with bulletproof vests from the Gulf Cartel. With reggaeton and rap songs, and showing her love for a supposed leader of a faction of that criminal structure, Mixi Padilla boasted about her life as a hit woman on social media. The young woman had recorded almost 40 videos on TikTok so that her more than 11,000 followers could see the life she led, always armed and ready for action. In her recordings, she also showed her clothing with the legend Los Tilines CDG, an armed branch of one of Mexico's oldest cartels. However, the life of this hit woman was interrupted on the night of March 29, 2022, after 3 military vehicles from the National Defense Secretariat that were patrolling the municipality of Miguel Alemán in Tamaulipas chased the Toyota truck where she was traveling. The criminals were moving within the region that is considered the headquarters of operations for the Gulf Cartel. When the Sedena convoy was able to recognize armed subjects in the white truck, the military approached at full speed while the narcos sought to escape. Upon reaching them, fire was opened on the unit where 5 hitmen were traveling, including Mixi Padilla. According to the reports that the security forces later made known, the truck crashed into a local shop in Villar, in front of a roundabout where various avenues of the city center that borders the United States meet. In that place, known as Little Border, there was a fierce exchange of bullets between hitmen and army elements. Images leaked on social networks showed how the truck ended up, hit by a burst of gunfire. Inside, all the occupants were killed. The dead people, 4 men and the young Mixi, were wearing the vests with which the CDG member had been photographed. The woman's body was recognized by a piercing in the lower lip of her mouth and a tattoo on her left cheek. In addition to her, the leader of the faction, known as El Tilín, was also identified among the victims. After the episode, audios about the confrontation were also leaked, where one of the hitmen traveling in the truck asks for help from his criminal companions, shouting, "They are killing us!" among the sound of bullets and the screams of agony of Mixi Padilla that could be heard in the background. The person is asked for his location and responds, "Here at the roundabout, they are killing us. They killed my partner." The group of Los Tilines is characterized by employing women among its ranks, who also exhibit themselves on digital platforms using heavy caliber weapons and the name of their cell in their clothing. They belong to the Gulf Cartel, the 3rd drug trafficking organization with the greatest presence in Mexico and linked to other recognized criminal structures such as Los Zetas, who were their armed branch years ago and were considered the most cruel and bloodthirsty. According to a report from the United States Congress, this criminal group, which was founded by the drug trafficker Oziel Cárdenas Guillén, also has alliances in some states with the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG. It also points out that the CDG has fragmented to a great extent, so some analysts no longer consider it a unified organization, but as several factions with strong disputes among themselves. It is these confrontations that cause the constant deaths of its members, not only at the hands of the authorities, but also among rival gangs. Indeed, these disputes with enemy organizations lead us to learn the story of the woman identified as Lucy Cruz on a Facebook profile and Castillo Hernandez on another. The hit woman, better known as La Cholita, was a member of Los Viagras, who also shared videos and photos on social networks to show off her affiliation with the criminal cell that operates in Michoacán, a territory where she regularly mocked and challenged the Jalisco New Generation cartel. In her profile pictures, she tried to hide her face using emojis. She shared selfies carrying long guns, a pistol on her belt, radios and chargers, with her characteristic tattoo on her right arm where 3 skulls in a horizontal line and some flames behind were depicted. The rivalry of her organization with the CJNG led the woman to publish a clip in which she laughed at the men commanded by Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, alias El Mencho, because they had abandoned their weapons after a supposed confrontation. What this character did not know was that she was unleashing the wrath of one of the most feared drug traffickers in the world. La Cholita was under the orders of Nicolas Sierra Santana, alias El Coruco, who had also challenged El Mencho and invited him to fight on several occasions. Since the beginning of 2019, criminal organizations have launched all kinds of threats among brutal confrontations, with Michoacán as the epicenter of violence. There, the CJNG disputes power with the so-called united cartels, which groups cells such as Los Viagras, La Nueva Familia Michoacana, and Los Blancos de Troya. In addition to the drug business, the region produces 70% of the world's avocados, as well as a good part of the global production of lemon and papaya, so it has abundant natural resources. This wealth, added to the drug trafficking routes, makes the narcos fight to extort agricultural producers. With the daily growth of rivalry and violence, La Cholita released a recording in which various firearms with the 4-letter seal of the CJNG could be seen. In the video of a few seconds, members of the Los Viagras cartel are also shown displaying rifles, ammunition, and tactical equipment belonging to those led by El Mencho. Still unsatisfied with the defiant message, another filming of days later shows La Cholita mocking her rivals again. After escaping from an attack, they left their trash and ran away like chickens with their Jalisco boots, she shared on social networks along with the video.
Mira, dejaron sus mugreros aquí, mira. Salieron corriendo putos. Mira, dejaron los mugreros. Mira, chavindeca, mira.
Traigan trocas buenas, perros.
This definitely provoked the anger of the leader of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, which was demonstrated shortly thereafter. In December 2020, information began to circulate on social networks that La Cholita and other of her narco companions were surprised by members of the CJNG while they were sleeping. This happened when those commanded by El Mencho advanced to dominate Tierra Caliente. At that time, La Cholita was reported as missing, leaving behind the days when the young hit woman uploaded videos of her exploits with her taunts towards her enemies. Although there was no confirmation about the finding of the hit woman's body, everyone in the world of drug trafficking assumed her death, only with the uncertainty of knowing in what way her rivals would have taken revenge for the embarrassment that this character made them go through. For our final story, we'll switch sides and now get to know one of the feared women in the ranks of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. Maria Guadalupe Lopez Esquivel, also known in the organized crime scene as La Catrina, was part of the network of female hitmen of the cartel, led by El Mencho. These women are characterized by being young and attractive, used to deceive adversaries. With the rise of the group as one of the most important cartels in the drug trafficking scene in Mexico, its leaders expanded their criminal strategies, opting to recruit women as hitmen. Neighbors from Tepalcatepec in Michoacán, where La Catrina was originally from, said she was the person in charge of kidnapping, extorting, and killing for the feared cartel. She was described as a cold, calculating, sensual, and intelligent woman. She often carried a .22 caliber Uzi submachine gun tuned with a black background, and also used to pose in the style of actress Kate del Castillo in the series La Reina del Sur. Her characteristics led her to join the ranks of the ruthless cartel, one of the most powerful in Mexico, present in 22 states of the country. Since 2017, it launched a violent campaign to take control of the illicit fuel traffic in Guanajuato. The United States considers this criminal group responsible for sending tons of cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin with fentanyl to its territory. Proud to belong to the CJNG, this dangerous lieutenant was under the scrutiny of Mexican authorities, as she was considered the material author of the ambush on elements of the Michoacán State Police that took place in October 2020. At that time, La Catrina was sent by Miguel Fernandez, alias LM2, to Aguaje with the mission of assassinating the police and leaving the narcomantas in which they claimed the crime. In a leaked recording, you could hear the drug dealer giving instructions to the young woman, who assured him that the mission would be carried out as planned. However, her days of perpetrating ruthless crimes were about to end. In December 2020, according to reports, at the time of her death, La Catrina was in a safe house in La Bocanada, Tierra Caliente region. Officials from the Secretariat of Public Security, National Guard, and military were preparing to dismantle it after an anonymous call warning of armed men. The accusation put the occupants of the place on alert, who were later identified as alleged hitmen of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. That group of armed men got into several trucks with the aim of escaping before the operation arrived, but the security forces had already surrounded the terrain, and a strong confrontation began. The shooting broke out immediately, and the uniformed men managed to detain 6 of the criminals. Meanwhile, the crossfire wounded La Catrina. Although the woman could not be identified immediately, soon videos came to light where you could see how the injured person was agonizing while waiting for a helicopter to give her medical attention. Finally, the bullet that hit her neck caused her to bleed to death on the spot. The photos that began to circulate in the following days showed her lifeless body on a stretcher, with the tattoos that allowed to ensure that the criminal career of the hitwoman had come to an end.
Tranquila, mija, ya viene el helicóptero por ti. Ya viene el helicóptero. Tranquila, hija, tranquila. Vas a estar bien. Trata de aguantar, ¿eh?
These are some of the examples that show that women have earned a place among the brutal criminal groups of Mexico, either as responsible for money laundering or as members of the armed branch that imparts terror in every corner of the country. Now, the time has come to say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining us until the end, and stay tuned to our channel to meet again in the next video.